Massimo Bottura have a restaurant in Sicily that again to burn because from mafia. It would be the worst publicity ever.
You stopped your law studies
Yeah.
in order to become a chef, to say it very simply. Why?
Because I wasn't happy. Because I always had in mind that Bob Dylan statement about being successful. Waking up in the morning, I'm going to bed in the evening, and in the meantime, I do what I've chosen to do. I didn't choose to be a lawyer. My father have chosen for me. And at that point, I wasn't happy, and my mom, she knew me very well, and she pushed me to follow one of my passions. The door of the unexpected is always open in my life, and at that moment, the gastronomy was there behind the door. Could be music, could be art, could be different things, you know. I jumped and I put all my energy in that kind of things because in this profession, because it's one of my passion. I've learned that in life, if you want to transfer emotion, you have to go deep into your interest, deeper and deeper and deeper, and once your interest became passion, you can transfer emotions. We don't feed people with good food. Of course it's good food. It's a 3 Michelin star, our restaurant. But we feed people with emotion. This is the most important thing.
Do you have an explanation why it was cooking, why it was gastronomy that made you quit this law stuff? And
I think because gastronomy was already an interest in my life. Because since I was a kid, I found as a safety place the kitchen where my mom or my grandmother was cooking all the time, because my grandmother's brother owned a cheese company up on the hills south of Modena, because my father's family owns land close to the Po River north of Modena, close to Mantova. So we had in the house availability of the most amazing product that was part of the traditional cooking of our place. And you know that Modena is in the heart of the food valley. So I think it's like this. You know, if you ask me why I get emotion when I hear a sound of a pipe, of a Ferrari, of a Maserati, because I grew up like that, you know, it's very easy.
In 1986, you founded your own restaurant, the first one, the Trattoria.
No, it's not a restaurant. It was a small trattoria, like 10 kilometers from Modena, in a village of 10 people. You know, like the cheapest things I could buy, you know, and but 1 week later I was inside the kitchen with an old lady, Lydia Cristoni, who first teach me how to organize a kitchen, but you know, in the meantime, she was teaching me something much more important. That was like the approach to a restaurant in a real way, and create a family, and feel the whole team part of your life as a family. So first step, sitting together every lunch and every dinner, like at 11:45, at 6:45 before the service, in which you could talk with everyone. You could fight with someone. You could make peace. You could plan the future. This was like the most important message that Lydia left under my skin.
This was basically what you learned a very crucial element for your future career.
Yeah, the organization and the planning for to be ready, professional way to the approach of the kitchen, no?
And with the employees.
And then treat everyone as a family.
And is it true that Alain Ducasse was there?
Alain Ducasse came. At that moment, there was another chef, another French chef called Georges Cogny, that was part of my life in that period between 86 and 92. And Georges really teach me the classic basis of French cuisine. Actually, the recipe that this kind of approach make me able to evolve traditional cuisine from the classic Italian matching with a French approach of sauces. That make me able to create a new, sparkle of difference approach, and that really interested Alain Ducasse when he arrived, because he saw French technique applied to Italian traditional gastronomy. It was like, whoa, interesting. And at the end of the meal, he invited me to Hotel de Paris, cooking there. And, that was November, and January I was there.
People say that you deconstructed Italian cuisine. What do you say about that?
Yeah, I think it's totally wrong. It's people, they don't understand my kind of cooking. Maybe they didn't analyze deeply what it is. I think I'm reconstructing, not deconstructing, reconstructing Italian cuisine. If I serve a crunchy part of the lasagna, I found when I speak about emotion, there's no more emotional part than the crunchy part of the old big pan of the lasagna that the grandmother comes and bring into the table, where in the moment in which like all the brothers and sisters, they fight over that crunchy part. The rest is for the adults, but the crunchy part is for the kids, because the kids knows that like that's the best part. So feeding people with emotion is not deconstruct Italian cuisine. It's different. I look at the past in a very critic way and never in a nostalgic one, to bring the best from the past into the future. That is exactly what I do.
It was a kind of success actually a big success that Ducasse invited you, and then you were there, but you still choose to go to New York afterwards. Why? Because you could have said, okay, fine, now Ducasse, I was at Ducasse, and now...
Because it's like it was the moment in which I could. New York has always been New York for me. It's like all my way from home, even before, even before I met my wife. I don't know. I always my passion, as you know, are art and music. So New York is the center of everything. It's not New York is not America. It's like a crossroad in which a bluesman can meet Damien Hirst, and Jane Kramer meets Cindy Sherman. It's a mix of everything. And this is something amazing for me, because it makes all sense.
It was maybe not only the chef Massimo Bottura who went to New York. It was the artist.
It's like it's the kind of creative energy that helps you that makes visible the invisible, you know? That kind of energy that makes you feel inside when the flash in the dark is coming. So, and that whisper in your ears, catch that flash, catch that flash. That's what it is.
Also, you met your future wife.
Yeah,
there,
of course. At that point, you know, I had the opportunity to work in this place in Grand and Mercer, and I met Laura, that was acting in a Worcester Street Theatre. But we had a group of people. They were working in Café di Non at that time, the name of the place where I was working, and like one was a writer, another one was like a director, and you know, this kind of creative people. They want to live in New York, and they like wait tables to make it living. Yeah, to finance the the possibility to live in New York, and that was a very special moment. Especially because, you know, for me, especially because when I think about art, you know, at that time, and I rethink about what Laura teach me, to me, art was over after Duchamp. I didn't get the all, you know, abstract American things, or like the surrealism. I was always kind of. But more like the pop of Warhol, or like the wild Americans, or the Italian Transavanguardia, you know, all the movement, they arrive after Duchamp. But Lara teach me really how to look at things in a different way, not to think you understood everything just with the first look, because the creative process behind that painting or that sculpture is much bigger and much complicated, you know. So to understand a Mimo Palladino battle, you have to know where Mimo Palladino was coming from, you know, and the Battle of San Girolamo, you put there, everything goes away, it remains just the big swords on things, and you have just lines that reflect perfectly the image. So the point is, just go deep into your thing and not stay at the surface and reflect the surface. Is a very important lessons in life in general. You know, when you want to fish the right fish, you have to wait till it's the moment. If you fish on surface, it's never going to be the right fish. It's like the idea. Superficial ideas, they can be very pop in 1 second and disappear in the next. If you have good ideas, deep ideas, you know, keep fighting for those, and before or after you're going to be recognized. Think about the 5 different age Parmigiano in 5 different texture and temperature. It's one of my iconic dish that was created for Ducasse for his first visit. At that time, there were like 3 texture and temperature, but I was expressing the slowly aging process in Emilia-Romagna with 1 ingredient. Actually, the ingredients were 2. One was the Parmigiano, the other was the thyme for the aging process. We transformed that ingredients in 3 different ingredients at that time. You know, in the beginning, they thought I was ruining the image of Parmigiano doing that and using the cheese like that. And 20 years later, has been declared the plate of the decade for Italian gastronomy. So it's a big and deep message for the young generation. Believe in yourself. Don't listen to anyone. Keep fighting for your ideas.
Also, it sounds like your cuisine would not have been the same without these lessons learned in New York. How did you, no?
I agree. I totally evolved. It was already different. When Wilsberger arrived before the opening of Osteria Francescana in 95, he walked into the door, he saw what I was doing, and he was already changing. It was not the cuisine that I was doing before.
How did it feel then to get the first big rewards for all that? I mean, with 2002, the first star, for example.
That was the key moment. You know,
you would say 2002 was the key moment?
Yeah, it
first
was
star,
like in November 2001 when the Michelin, Gambero Rosso and Espresso. At that time, Espresso and Gambero Rosso, they had a big impact on Italian gastronomic tourism as Michelin. So at that time, 6 months before I was ready to leave Modena and close the restaurant, 6 months later, I received my first Michelin star, like performance of the year and best young Italian chef for Gambero. So it's like everything changed, and because from that moment, people, they were listening to what I had to say. Before, I was like, they were totally tough, you know.
But it's interesting because, since 2011, you have the 3 stars, you were 2 times #1 at 50 Best. Now best of the best. It's amazing.
It feels amazing because till, even last week, even last week I was in New York, invited by the United Nations, invited by Italy and Identità Golose, invited by Sotheby's, all in the same week. Walking into a room with all the head of states and sitting in the booths of Italy, listen to what they have to say. They analyze the whole project of Food for Soul. They want to be partner with us. They ask me to be an ambassador for the United Nations and goodwill. Move to Italy, have hundreds of people listen to the conference, jump to a cab, go to Uptown, open a show that you curated, contemporary art show in New York. I'm a chef in a small town of Modena who curate a contemporary art show in New York. That's crazy. That's crazy. With 50 people, like the creme de la creme of the collectors, of art lovers in New York.
What do people project in someone, in a chef like you? What do they long for?
They listen. They have, when you have something to say, it is very important to say it and say it loud. People, they can listen. If you have a deep message, it's becoming a very loud message for people. So when I was talking about what I want to do at the Universal Exposition, I want to do that, and it became very loud because the theme of the Universal Exposition in 2016 was Feed the Planet. So we decided to feed the planet our own way. And this project involves so many goals, 5 years in advance of what they presented at the United Nations last week. So it's like feed the hunger, fighting food waste, sustainability, climate change, was all like that, in one project. Beauty, and that's really, there's one person who listens, then the second, then the 25th people that they're like, maybe the most interesting and sensitive people in the world. So it's like when you have people like that they are involved in your project, and you put energy and you open your door to everyone, that really what makes a difference. So it's not that you become the most influential or whatever. To me, it's not that. Those kind of titles are not important. Important are the words that are like you use to make a difference. In my case, to fight food waste and social isolation.
How did this develop? Where did this came from? Was only being a chef in your kitchen not enough anymore?
No.
Was it because you became so successful, you wanted to use this success to make something better?
This is exactly what I was thinking. When you reach everything, it's time to give back. So I grew up in a very social realities, that is Emilia, in which we have learned that if you stay together, we can be louder. Think about the Parmigiano Reggiano Consorzio, or the balsamic vinegar, or the prosciutto di Parma, whatever. If you share with others, and you don't talk just about yourself, but about your farmers, your fishermen, your cheesemaker, your artisans, those are people that are gonna recognize you. There's a great artist called Ai Weiwei who says, I don't care if my artisan understand about contemporary art, but I care about those people understand about what I'm doing. Because when I pay them, they have the money in the pocket and they say, maybe Ai Weiwei did something good. It's exactly what I do in Osteria every day. It's not about everyone understand contemporary cooking. They don't. It's too complicated. Is my brain, my mind that is expressed into a dish. And but if they understand what I'm doing, because the cheese from Rosola is totally sold out, the meat from whatever, that's the kind of things that are very important. Not talking about yourself, let the other talk about you, but open to everyone.
How do you combine those two, let's say professions?
But wait a second.
Yeah.
There's one thing that I didn't say before about things. Create a great food, good food, like we serve an Osteria Francescana, and the food that we serve at the refettorio is the same action, is an act of love. So it's like cooking good food and cooking bad food takes the same time. Cooking for the most important and rich person in the world, cooking for the last person on earth, and homeless, migrants, refugees, is the same thing. It's not that we put less passion, less focus, it's the same thing. So what we do in Osteria Francescana, we brought it into the refettorio. And what we do in refettorio now, what we have learned in the refettorio now, in 2019, we brought back into Casa Maria Luigia. That is the most avant-garde way of feeding people fine dining. 3 tables as at the refettorio, 8 people sitting on every table, share a table, because the power of food, leave your phone on the side and talk to each other. The power of food, the power of sitting around the table, the power of talk to each other is the most amazing thing in the world. So what we are doing now is another revolution. So it's not that my creative mind is focused on switch on social thing. It's totally different. It's like, it's an evolution. I've never been so creative than now. So it's just an evolution of what is my life. Because as I said, always, chefs in 2019, they have to be much more than the sum of their recipes.
Because I wanted to ask before, how do you combine those two tasks? But it's not two tasks.
No,
Apparently,
no.
it's like a
Absolutely.
It's like a circle. It's
Yeah,
like,
yes. It depends how you feel inside, you know, and how you see things. The more you know, the more you have culture, the more you understand deeply the different stratification of creativity, of life, of things. Yeah.
a chef is more than the sums of his recipes.
Yes.
In the year 2019, what is a chef?
You know, it's a person who can really make the difference in life, especially because you know, his role is like to feed people, to think about the word reficere, to restore. It means that comes the word restaurant, restore the soul of the people who, after a long journey, you know, they stop, they relax, they sit, and they enjoy a warm, beautiful meal. So this is the word, the key thing. Welcome, buongiorno. This is words that they really makes a difference in life. When you say it with your heart open. If you say it, buongiorno, just like this, doesn't mean anything. You know, people understand that. But if you really look in the eyes, people, and you open your arms and you say, welcome, it's one of the most powerful words you can say, you know? Because you open your word, your arms, your word, your mind, your heart, to other people, unknown, yeah.
There is sometimes criticism that chefs and gastronomy as such has become very commercialized with a lot of PR, public relations, and so on. I mean, how did you feel that in the last 10, 20 years? Did you expect that it can become such a major theme?
I have no idea. You know, it's like I can see. To me, my dream was to get the 3 Michelin star. That was my dream since I was a kid. Those were like something very special because when I grew up, there was nothing except for Michelin or espresso, whatever. The 50 best arrive and they approach to the word in a very mild way, and step by step, year by year, they became more powerful, more powerful. And what I think 50 best represent this new generation of gourmet. They travel a lot with a very open mind. From Asia, from South America, from everywhere, every single part in the world. And they want to know and discover the mind of the chef. They never, to me, with my experience, they never open a menu. They just say, whatever you want to do, serve it. So this is a very new approach that I appreciate a lot, as I appreciate when someone comes with and wait 6 months before having a table at Osteria Francescana, maybe 6 years. But you know, in the moment you have you sit at the table. I remember he decided to order 1 plate of tortellini. We were kind of upset and confused. You're right, confused is the right word. But you know, when he finished that dish, he ordered another one. And after the second plate, he ordered a dessert, coffee, and he left. And he wrote a beautiful thing about having not the pleasure, but come dice Enrico là, sai quando tu aspetti 6 mesi e dopo arrivi, ordini un tortellino e dici la gratificazione, forse, gratification.
Thankfulness.
The thankfulness of sitting at the table, ordering a plate of tortellini, but those tortellini were the best pasta in the world. And, you know, I focused just that. That was my biggest pleasure ever. So they make me realize that a chef, you know, these are Michelin customer, no? They open, they look, they get it. So they get deep into things, you know. Those kind of things are make me realize that it's very important to keep open and to other people. They don't want to have a tasting menu and stuff like that. So and it's much more difficult to create plates and food in which you have one chance to create something special. And you have to have create 13 bites in that plate that are unbelievable. Yeah.
How do you see the future of gastronomy, not only for the guests, but also for the employees? Because it's, in a lot of countries, it's very difficult to recruit, you know, people.
It's true. Yeah.
Why, and how do you think that this will...
Because there's a lot of demand and not enough people, I think. Because a lot of people, especially in some segment like the service, everyone wants to be a chef because they believe we are rock star. Actually, we are not. We are very hard workers. And our job, it's all about the hard work, not being rock star, being interview or flying, you know, everywhere. And because for us, it's like, this is the focus, you know? The secret of success is like focus, focus, focus every day. Never get lost, never get wild, you know? Keep your mind always straight. And that's, I think, the secret of getting longer and longer all these year after years. And I think I can share this with Joan Roca, for example. That is another one who've been moved to the best of the best. And I was saying to Joan, I think is the right move for the 50 best. Because we don't have such a big ego. Think about ourselves. And so we already had what we want, and now it's time to move back after all these years. In the last maybe 12 years, we always been there, or number 4, number 3, number 2, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 2, number 1. Yeah, it's crazy. So
at the beginning you said the door of the unexpected was always here. Is it still here? What?
Of course. Otherwise I wouldn't do whatever I'm doing every day. You know, when Sotheby's asked me, chef, to curate a contemporary art show in New York, it's like, yeah, I jump. I have so many projects now that, you know, I don't know, Enrico is managing, you know, all these things and ideas, and they put together all things and create, you know, sectors in which you can, this is something we can do it, this is no way we have to do it, this is maybe. So 3 different things. And, you know, you put, you know, this one here, this is on the left, this is in the middle, this is in the middle, this is on the right. And, you know, this is kind of, it's extremely important to have someone you trust that, you know, can make those choices. Because if you're too involved in those kind of things, especially the creative process, they look all fantastic. But sometimes they're like too challenging, even for a contemporary mind. But in my mind, you know, I'm born like that. In my mind, if you ask me what is going to be in the future, I'm going to answer future. Because, I'm born like that. Everything I achieve, to me, Maria Luisa is already achieved. And, we open the 1st of May. Yeah. But we are always fully booked. We are always, the house is the most perfect place, and it's like exactly as I want it. To have a place to guest my friends from all over the world in a very private environment. And we are doing that, and we are like, achieve that, what we want.
So there are these different kind of things in the future, impossible, maybe, probably.
Yeah, of course.
Can you say something more precise, or is it not?
Yeah, I can. 2-3 days ago, friend of mine, an Italian director, movies, TV personality, asked me to come down in Palermo. He's a guy from Sicily. So he said, the judge who fight mafia.
Yeah, in Palermo.
Yeah, he wants to meet you. And I said, what he wants? Maybe we have a good project for you. I said, what do you want? So there is a restaurant in Palermo that has been on fire 2 times after it's been confiscated from a local boss. And but it went on fire 2 times. So he was thinking that if me and you, we take over that restaurant, we could really make the difference. I said, yeah, of course we can do that. I have already 3 people here, not right now, in Osteria Francescana. They come from Sicily. And I asked them, and they said they would be on board in this project, and they could involve a lot of friends, even from Sicily. And if we involve all the artisans, the farmers, we can put names on the menu. And I don't think if a local boss knows that we and you are involved in the restaurant, they want to put in fire, they want to burn the restaurant, because otherwise it would be in the newspaper all over the world. Massimo Bottura have a restaurant in Sicily that again to burn because from mafia. It would be the worst publicity ever for them, especially for them. So I said, why not? So those are part, I don't know. You have to ask Enrico if it's yes, maybe, or no.
What do you say, Enrico?
He's in charge.
He's in charge.
Not everyone is so open-minded to understand what we are doing. So the point is always to make sure to repeat and again and again and again. After 10, 15 times, the message passes through, if it's a good message. If it's not, it's
It's superficial.
Yeah. Absolutely. When we did the old project of the Food for Soul, no one said, yes, let's do it, come on, let's do it. But I thought it was the right things to do. Even if we weren't number 1 in the world, if we weren't, we fight. We were still recovering for many things, but we did it.
That's great final words for this interview. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.